shot at. Matemu was also shot at, and the lady Kano and the other commissioners,
Songo.
on
Songo, yes.
they were driven off. And now these commissioners who came, and I pity Kinisu. Kinisu, you better be careful. And I'm just telling you, you better read that history very carefully.
They're coming for you.
And they're coming for you. They're coming for you. Now, why do I say that? Because you can see the history of our political enterprise has been, we should be let alone to eat this fat cow. They have the fork and the knife, and they begin slicing it. We outside there, we the Kenyan people who are out there, who are so indignified as to question, according to them, why they are eating our public money.
So how do we stop this trend then? You're saying you're warning Kinisu that it's coming his way. How do you stop
It's not a threat
that?
to him. It's not a threat to him.
Yeah,
I'm just
no,
saying, let him be real. Let's be real. Let's be real.
But how do we stop that trend?
First of all, the president has to take initiative and be active and just be proactive and say, in my government, you will not be corrupt. I haven't heard him in action saying that. I have seen him verbally saying it. I said, I draw the line on 27th of March last year. It's going to be a year.
Is he the person who puts people behind bars? Because what we are saying is that we want prosecution, we want people convicted and behind bars. All he can do is begin the processes.
It's true. But let me finish this point.
Let me finish this point. Behind bars.
Let me finish this point, because it's very important. Because if you are the president and you say, in my government, you will not be heard, let alone just be.
He dismissed the cabinet secretaries, but you're the one who said we've not seen convictions yet.
Absolutely.
So that perhaps is not. Yeah.
Absolutely. Maybe he can say that, well, it's not within my power to prosecute these people. But then, of course, he should send word to his compatriot, the Chief Justice. He's serving another arm of government.
Would
this
that
Chief
be
Justice,
seen as interference?
Absolutely not, because you say this is my government and we should be seen to be delivering to the Kenyan people. And the Chief Justice in turn says, now, if you're in the judiciary and you're a magistrate, you're in charge of these prosecutions, you should ensure that we do have the prosecution. But what are we having? Everybody said, it's not my
brother.
Let's
step back, I think, and stop this thing about the president just saying. We have seen the President Uhuru has done things that seem to promote corruption rather than fight corruption. And I will explain. If it's about Anne Waiguru, when she was fingered as the person who was responsible, he immediately, on his own motion, came out publicly to protect her. If it is about the so-called State of the Nation address, where he gave some list of people to the National Assembly, and to Parliament actually, because it was both Senate and the National Assembly, he gave a list which contained some spurious allegations against people. One of them, I've looked at that list, one of them is a magistrate, I can't remember the name, who was listed in that list. Listen.
Yes.
This is important for me, so that we deal with the fact that where is the commitment of the president to fight corruption, other than just a statement, because I think without being, without appearing as if I am taking a partisan position, I think the president, the current regime, is so obsessed with public relations, with how it appears rather than what it does and what it is for real.
And that's why
there was a magistrate who was named in that list just because that magistrate released somebody on bail to the displeasure of the prosecution.
And that is why I want to ask you, because what I hear from you is yes, and warranted, you are entitled to your views about the president needing to be more serious, perhaps to act better or be more firm on these matters. But the question is, if he did that today, does that put people behind bars? Does that cause these commissions that are mandated to fight graft to be able to? Because tonight's discussion is basically around that. What do we do with the EACC? Are we saying the problem is the president? That's why we don't have people behind bars?
There are several elements that we need to come with. First, and I will give that element by example, because we Kenyans like examples and argue by examples. 2003, when Kibaki was elected, on the platform of fighting corruption, citizens in Machakos on the highway were arresting police officers who were seeking bribes from Manambas and touts. And more important, the bribes that they were seeking, 20 shillings, 50 shillings, they took the money from the police officer and gave it to a public hospital, because they knew this is an illicit earning, so it goes to a public good. Fast forward, Kibaki lost the war on corruption. We had the Anglo-leasing and other things. People forgot. Even those in government who were threatened then that we cannot engage in corruption because the president doesn't like it, started realizing, oh, everybody from the top engages in corruption.
And then Katanusu came.
And the Katanusu business came, and everybody from the top, people from the bottom realized the top is eating, so nobody stopped eating. So the point about that political will is fundamental. When we hear things about the Hasseljet scandal, about how the procurements are done, we start dealing with small, with the legalistic and formalistic things, rather than focusing on what exactly happened. But let me summarize myself.
You have been speaking for a while.
Let me summarize this. What I wanted, the point I'm making is this, that yes, the law is there, but the patrons and the beneficiaries of corruption predetermine who gets appointed to those positions. I'm not accusing Kinisu and others of being corrupt, but I know people who have failed to get jobs because they are considered qualified but unsuitable.
So, Kinyanju, let me ask you this. So, are we saying more political will in terms of lack of interference at all, no interference in the EACC, but also would you say that the process in which commissioners are put in office, so for example, is the president nominating people, in this particular case, they're taken to parliament. It's a parliament whose majority belong to the president's coalition. So people would see this commission as an establishment commission. Do we need to change the manner in which these people are put in office so that it's a more fair, quote-unquote, process that does not have any leanings in any way favoring any side as some would see it?
We're trapped, unfortunately. We are trapped. Again, I say it, and I began by saying that our political class and our political arrangement is such that we deify, we elevate, we hold in such deification our politicians. And so these parliamentarians gang up together and begin saying, who do you think will protect our interests? Who do you think we should have down there in the commission? And then what happens? Someone is appointed there, but they know the mandate is to go and shield and protect.
Not who do you think, who is our man or woman?
So then do we change that? Do we make it a different organization?
That's why I began by saying we are trapped. We outsiders, we are trapped. There is an elite. There's a club of elite people who are out there to protect their interests, their welfare. But look at the EACC Act itself. It says in Section 3 that pursuant to Article 6.3 of our Constitution, this commission is supposed to have branches all over the country. Do they have the capacity? Do they have commissioners, for instance, who will be based in Lodwar or in Mombasa or in wherever, whichever county? They are based here in Nairobi. So we centralize our fight, quote unquote, against corruption. So do they have the capacity then to deal with the problem, nationally speaking? In my view, they do not. And secondly, look at their own secretariat. Their own secretariat is based in Nairobi, and what do? They focus more on this petty corruption. The grand corruption, look at the case of Waiguru, for instance. She comes out and then says, oh, 791 million
but
was not
haven't
lost.
they summoned her? They have dismissed that clearance.
They did, but I was using that exampling to show that, first of all, they heard what she said and believed that without launching any investigations. And then suddenly, there is a Kafura who comes up with her affidavit, and she says, wait a minute, no. Right. The key mastermind of all this was actually so and so. And then they wake up. Let me finish. Allow me to finish. Then they wake up and say that, hey, Waiguru, I think we need to question you. And then she goes out there with these border people. So we have deified our politicians. And the EACC has played into that.
So Kinyanju, you said we are trapped, but then do we then remove that entrapment by changing our laws again, to my question, by putting the powers to elect these people or put them in that position of EACC in a different space, not the politicians, not the president selecting. Other countries have different ways in which they do this. Can that work for us?
Can I answer that question?
Please.
The point is, again, by example, so that Kenyans can remember from their history, when Kibaki came into power in 2003, he brought a lot of people from civil society to help him fight corruption. You will remember John Githongo. Right. You remember Maina Kiai and many others. as soon as they realized that they had brought strangers from the establishment, they fought them and kicked them out. From then, and if you looked at what you were showing us about the history of the current commissioners, the ones who were appointed recently, they all seem to be establishment type of persons. They are no longer those people you could say, we are bringing people who are not the usual friends within to help us think outside of the box. So I agree with Harrison that we are actually trapped. The trouble is, where do we begin? I think my challenge is not even for government, because I've given up on the government establishment to fight corruption. It's not. We have the levels of corruption we have today, with the active participation of the EACC, is far higher than there was when Kibaki ruled the first time and Kibaki ruled the second time. So there is no commitment by EACC to fight corruption. In fact, what they do these days, they take people to court, they take 100 people to court, and they tell Kenyans, oh, we took 100 people, criminals to court, the court released 99, and we convicted one.
Is that their fault in terms of the court?
It's by design, through the investigative process, how everything is done. If you look at this, Kinyanjui will tell you, we see this happen in court all the time. People are brought with drama. Can you explain it to me? How EACC, in some cases, takes the media with them in tow to go and do drama when they are investigating.
We have 3 minutes.
Yes. Very well. The point I'm making, I will summarize it in even less than that. To say the EACC is helping to do PR work for Uhuru Kenyatta's government.
All right. Do you think?
And there's nothing to show for a commitment to desire to convict. If you ask them today, how many people in high-profile cases have they convicted, or have they caused a conviction? They will tell you none. Those ones of, like Ahmed Nasir once said, when he was the chairman of the board, said that some of those guys are busy running, counting the teeth of policemen.
All right, Kinyanjui, what if we give the EACC prosecutorial powers? Time and again, and Ringera, at his exit, he said that this commission will not succeed unless, 1, it has prosecutorial powers, 2, it's able to seize assets and passports, 3, it requires public officials to declare wealth whenever it's deemed fit. If it was given these powers, would it perform better?
That's an excuse. Oh, that's an excuse, a lame excuse, an empty excuse. It ought not to be coming from people who are learned and educated. Have they read Section 27 of the Public Officers Ethics Act? It says after every 2 years, in December, after every 2 years, they have to file a record of their assets. Do they do it? Now, you look at the EACC Act. Who's supposed to enforce the issues of integrity? Who's supposed to have those lifestyle audits? The same commission. So whether you actually give them these prosecutorial powers they keep singing about that they lack, it's hard air. Just let me finish.
Yes.
It's hard air. Why is it hard air? Time is up. Why is it hard air? Because if you read that law, it's very elaborate. They're supposed to engage in public education of the dangers of corruption. Do they go around in schools? Do they hire these musicians that we see all over who are so world famous, fight against corruption, and they get a huge budget?
Final example to substantiate what he's saying. The U.S. government has recovered or punished Firestone for corruption in Kenya. The UK has punished Smith & Osman for corruption in Kenya. What has Kenya done? We are prevaricating around here.
It's still in the process. Harun Dubi, Harrison Kinyanjui lawyers, thank you so much for joining us tonight. Now, from its inception and the first director, Harun Mwayu, to present team led by Philip Kinusu, the call has been clear and a simple one. Tame runaway graft, the cancer that eats into our nation. Time after time, the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission has done a splendid job in pouring cold water on the public's faith in the Constitution. While fighting corruption is easier said than done, one expects men and women who take the oath of defending the Kenyan people and actively seek to root out the #1 evil in the society to do exactly that. So we understand corruption fights back and that frying big fish might need big pans. It's a huge task, no doubt. Kenyan people have come to expect less and less from this commission through acts of commission and omission on the part of EACC in its handling of cases. So then, this is a sobering moment for EACC Chair Philip Kinusu and his colleagues at EACC. Kenyans are not only watching you, but we are growing extremely impatient with this cancer that is corruption. Kenyans hope you choose to fight this battle on the side of Kenyans. Use the powers, law and resources available to you and to be able to clear stories of sleaze and plunder of national resources among our midst. Kenyans are definitely watching. That's the last word. Thank you for watching. I'm Sophia Wanuna. Good night.